Greetings, fellow witches and wizards, and welcome to another episode of Harry Potter Academy, the portal to the most enchanting corner of the digital realm, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary.
Part 1. First year at Hogwarts 1991. Aboard the Hogwarts Express. On September 1, 1991, Harry's journey toward his destiny continued as the Dursleys dropped him off at King's Cross Station. Vernon assisted Harry with his belongings, chuckling about the non-existent platform 9 3/4. The Dursley family departed, leaving Harry alone in the bustling station. With only 10 minutes until the train's departure at 11 a.m., Harry, anxious, overheard a red-headed family complaining about Muggle congestion and observed their owl. Witnessing the older boys magically passing through the barrier between platforms 9 and 10, Harry nervously approached them and met Ron, the youngest son. Molly, Ron's mother, kindly provided instructions on accessing the platform. Harry, followed by Ron, rushed through the barrier, arriving on the platform, where the Hogwarts Express awaited. Most compartments were occupied, so Harry, with help from the red-headed twins, secured a spot near the end of the train. While assisting, the twins noticed Harry's distinctive scar, recognizing him as Harry Potter. Seated near the window in his compartment, Harry observed the family. The twins, Fred and George Weasley, shared this revelation with their siblings, Ginny and Percy. Once on board, the train departed, and Ron asked to join Harry in his compartment. Ron inquired about Harry's scar, and Harry learned that Ron's entire family were wizards, except for a second cousin who was an accountant. At the trolley's arrival around 12:30, Harry purchased a variety of treats and shared them with Ron. Neville Longbottom, searching for his lost toad Trevor, soon appeared. While Ron attempted a spell on his rat Scabbers, Hermione Granger intervened to help find Trevor. After Ron's spell failed, Hermione introduced herself and informed Harry that he featured in several magical history books. As they speculated about their potential Hogwarts houses, Draco Malfoy, Vincent Crabbe, and Gregory Goyle approached. Despite Draco's attempts to befriend him, Harry refused to shake hands after Draco insulted Ron and his family. Scabbers bit Goyle's finger when he tried to take their chocolate frog cards, driving them off. Ron explained that the Malfoy family was associated with Voldemort, but they later claimed to have been bewitched, a statement Ron's father doubted. Upon arrival, Hagrid gathered the first years, leading them down a path to the Great Lake's edge. In groups of no more than 4, they boarded small boats, sailing across the lake to an underground harbor. Reminding Neville to bring his toad, Hagrid guided them through a passageway to the castle gates. Part 2. The Sorting Ceremony. Upon reaching the castle door, Professor Minerva McGonagall warmly greeted the new students and provided an explanation of Hogwarts' 4 houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, along with the House Cup rules. She then guided the first years into a small room adjacent to the entrance hall, instructing them to wait until her return. Upon her reappearance, they were led into the Great Hall, where they received greetings from fellow students and, notably, encountered a worn wizard's hat resting on a small stool. As the Sorting Hat song described the attributes of each house, Harry felt a growing concern about where he would be placed. Remembering Hagrid and Ron's warnings about Slytherin's association with dark wizards and Voldemort's history in the house, Harry hesitated. When he wore the hat, it slipped past his eyes, suggesting Slytherin. Fearful and thinking of Voldemort, Harry urgently repeated "not Slytherin." Responding to Harry's plea, the hat placed him in Gryffindor alongside Ron and Hermione Granger. In his second year, during a visit to Dumbledore's office, the Sorting Hat reiterated the notion that Harry would do well in Slytherin. The sorting ceremony concluded with the start of term feast. Unaccustomed to such abundance, Harry was overwhelmed by the variety of foods before him. Dessert arrived, and conversation shifted to the first year's families. Neville Longbottom shared an amusing anecdote about how his family initially believed he was a squib until a fortunate fall from a window proved otherwise. During the feast, Harry experienced the first pain in his scar. Looking at Professor Quirrell, who had Lord Voldemort inhabiting his body, Harry felt a sharp pain when Quirrell looked in his direction. Any time Voldemort was near, Harry's scar would ache. After the golden plates and goblets were cleared, Dumbledore delivered a welcoming speech, issuing warnings about the Forbidden Forest and the third-floor corridor. The school then sang the school song before heading off to their respective dormitories. Part 3. First Year's Classes. In his inaugural potions class, Harry discovered the disdain Professor Snape held for him, ridiculing him as the school's new celebrity before instructing the class on brewing a boil cure potion. After class, Harry and Ron visited Hagrid's hut for tea, encountering Hagrid's massive and intimidating dog, Fang. Hagrid reassured Harry that Snape's behavior was unwarranted and began discussing Ron's older brother, Charlie Weasley. During their conversation, Harry came across a Daily Prophet article detailing a break-in at Gringotts on his birthday, specifically Vault 713, the same vault he and Hagrid had visited on their Diagon Alley trip. Harry's enthusiasm for learning to fly was dampened upon discovering that Gryffindors and Slytherins would share flying lessons. Malfoy, boasting about his skills, fueled the anticipation. Madame Rolanda Hooch initiated the class, teaching basic broom control before instructing students to hover. Neville, fearing being left behind, panicked, rose too quickly, and broke his wrist. Madame Hooch escorted Neville to the hospital wing, cautioning the rest to remain grounded. Seizing the opportunity, Draco snatched Neville's Remember All and challenged Harry to retrieve it, threatening to leave it up a tree. Harry, surprisingly adept at flying, pursued Draco. In a thrilling dive, he caught the Remember All just above the ground, earning cheers from the Gryffindors. Harry's elation was short-lived as Professor McGonagall intervened. Rather than punishment, she introduced him to Oliver Wood, Gryffindor Quidditch team captain, pulled from a charms class. Intrigued by Harry's dive, Wood envisioned him as an excellent seeker and discussed the need for a quality broom to compete. This unexpected encounter marked the beginning of Harry's Quidditch journey. Part 4. The Midnight Duel. Over dinner that night, Harry recounted the events following his departure with McGonagall to Ron, emphasizing Wood's desire for secrecy. Draco, joined by his cohorts Crabbe and Goyle, approached Harry to taunt him about the earlier incident. Infuriated that Harry not only evaded trouble, but was also rewarded, Draco challenged him to a wizard's duel. Despite Hermione's attempts to dissuade them from breaking the rules, Harry accepted the challenge. Leaving the tower, the trio encountered Neville, whose wrist had been mended by Madame Pomfrey. Forgotten password in tow, Neville decided to join them. Arriving at the trophy room for the duel, they discovered Draco's absence, speculating that he might have backed out. While deliberating their next move, Filch and Mrs. Norris, the caretaker and his cat, entered the room. Realizing Draco had deceived them and alerted Filch, they attempted a silent exit. However, Peeves, the mischievous poltergeist, barged in, threatening exposure. In a moment of desperation, Ron swiped at Peeves, prompting the poltergeist to loudly reveal their location, attracting Filch. The children sprinted to the end of the corridor, encountering a locked door. Hermione, using Harry's wand, magically unlocked it, and they entered, only to confront a terrifying sight. A colossal three-headed dog. Opting for Filch over potential danger, they fled, miraculously returning to their dormitory without encountering anyone. Despite the unsettling events, Hermione pointed out the dog was standing on a trapdoor, fueling Harry's curiosity about the mysteries that lay ahead. Part 5. The Nimbus 2000. During breakfast the following morning, Harry and Ron speculated about what Fluffy might be guarding. The arrival of mail diverted their attention, and Harry, who had only received Hagrid's letter, was as curious as the others about the peculiarly shaped package that morning. To his surprise, upon opening it, he discovered a Nimbus 2000, accompanied by a note from Professor McGonagall cautioning him not to unveil the broom at the table, and instructing him to meet Wood that night for Quidditch practice. Taking the broom to their dormitory, Harry and Ron were confronted by Malfoy, who confiscated the package, asserting that first-year students were prohibited from having their own brooms. When Professor Flitwick approached, Malfoy attempted to report Harry, but Flitwick, aware of Harry's special permission, instead commended Harry's talent. Part 6. Halloween. On Halloween, Professor Flitwick commenced the instruction of the levitation charm to his students. Hermione was the sole success, and Ron, feeling offended by her air of superiority, made a hurtful comment about her lack of friends, inadvertently overheard by Hermione. Distraught, she fled to the girls' bathroom in tears, leaving Ron and Harry with a lingering sense of guilt. Later, as they descended to the Halloween feast, the grandeur of the decorations momentarily overshadowed their remorse. Midway through the feast, Quirrell interrupted to announce the presence of a 12-foot mountain troll in the dungeons before promptly fainting. Prefects guided the students back to their dormitories, but Harry realized Hermione was unaware of the troll's presence. Feeling responsible, he persuaded Ron to assist in her rescue. Sneaking to the girls' bathroom, they inadvertently trapped the troll inside, unbeknownst to them. Their oversight became evident upon hearing Hermione's terrified scream from the bathroom. An alarmed Harry and Ron rushed back to rescue her. Following a brief confrontation, during which Harry stuck his wand up the troll's nose, Ron successfully incapacitated the troll by levitating its own club to strike its head. Drawn by the troll's cries, the professors arrived to discover Harry, Ron, and Hermione covered in dust, and the bathroom in disarray. Professor McGonagall, Gryffindor's head, began reprimanding the boys for not heading straight to their dormitories with the rest of their house, instead putting themselves in serious peril. To the surprise of Harry and Ron, Hermione fabricated a story to McGonagall, claiming that she had ventured out to find the troll, thinking she could handle the situation. She asserted that Harry and Ron were searching for her, which was accurate, and she might have met a tragic fate if the boys hadn't come to her rescue. Also true. This shared ordeal forged a bond among them, and they became friends thereafter. Part 7. Quidditch. As the Quidditch season commenced, Harry's nerves heightened. The first match was against Slytherin, and the pressure on Harry to prove himself beyond his fame was mounting. To ease his anxiety, Harry borrowed Quidditch Through the Ages, a comprehensive history of the sport that Hermione had obtained from the library. On the day before the match, Harry, Ron, and Hermione huddled around a conjured flame jar for warmth during the break. Snape, noticing their guilty expressions, seized the opportunity to punish them and confiscated Harry's book, citing a feeble excuse about library books not being allowed outside. Harry observed Snape's limp, strengthening his suspicion that the potion's master was interested in whatever Fluffy was guarding. Concerned about the match and determined to retrieve the book, Harry decided to confront Snape. Overhearing Snape complaining to Filch about Fluffy's guarding, Harry witnessed Filch assisting Snape in bandaging his injured leg. Returning to the common room, Harry shared everything with his friends. With little time to dwell on Snape's injury, the first Quidditch match loomed the next morning. As the Gryffindor Seeker, Harry's pivotal role was to catch the golden snitch, a small, elusive golden ball. In his first attempt, the Slytherin Seeker interfered, blocking Harry's path. Shortly after, Harry's broom began behaving erratically, escalating to violent shaking. The crowd watched in horror as Harry struggled to maintain control. Ron and Hermione speculated on the cause, but Hagrid, joining the audience, remarked that it would take powerful dark magic beyond a second year's capability. Hermione, observing Snape muttering and staring at Harry, seized the moment to run around the stadium and cast a spell that set Snape's robes on fire. The spell on Harry's broom broke, allowing him to regain control. Confused spectators witnessed Harry dive towards the ground, only to clutch his mouth as a fill. In reality, Harry had caught the snitch with his mouth. Gryffindor emerged victorious. After the match, Hagrid took the trio to his hut. Ron and Hermione recounted Snape's actions, but Hagrid doubted Snape's motive for harming Harry. Harry revealed Snape's encounter with the dog on the third-floor corridor. Surprised by their knowledge, Hagrid unintentionally disclosed that the dog belonged to him, and the secret it guarded concerned Albus Dumbledore and a man named Nicholas Flamel. Part 8. Christmas Season. As impressive as it was that Harry had managed to maintain control of a bucking broomstick, Malfoy quickly discovered that the rest of the school no longer found his taunts about Harry's replacement amusing. Instead, Malfoy resorted to teasing Harry about spending the holidays at Hogwarts. Nonetheless, Harry looked forward to Christmas, especially as Ron was also staying, providing an opportunity to research Nicholas Flamel. Although the librarian might have swiftly found a book on Flamel, they opted to search themselves to avoid suspicion. On Christmas morning, Harry and Ron discovered a pile of presents at the foot of their beds. At the bottom was a package containing an invisibility cloak and an anonymous note indicating that it had belonged to Harry's father, and to use it well. Intrigued, Harry decided to test the cloak. Sneaking back to the library, he headed for the restricted section. Opening a hefty book, a blood-curdling scream erupted, prompting Harry to hastily retreat, accidentally knocking over a lantern. Dodging Filch, he ran through dark corridors away from the library. Thinking he had evaded Filch, Harry was alarmed to hear his voice approaching, realizing he was speaking with Snape. As they rounded the corner, Harry, wearing the invisibility cloak, had no chance to sneak past in the narrow corridor. Spotting a door, he slipped inside, finding himself in an abandoned classroom. After Snape and Filch passed, Harry relaxed and took note of the room's details. Examining the room more closely, Harry discovered an old gilded mirror with an inscription. Aerie said Straw-eru oit ub kafru oit on wosi. Stepping in front of the mirror, he was shocked to see a crowd of people who looked just like him, his family. The next night, he brought Ron to the mirror room. Ron saw himself standing alone, holding the house cup, wearing badges as head boy and Quidditch captain. The following evening, eager to see his family again, Harry went to the mirror room. Unbeknownst to him, Professor Dumbledore was waiting. Dumbledore explained that the mirror, known as the Mirror of Aerie said, showed the deepest desire of the viewer. Harry, who had never known his family, saw them. Dumbledore warned that the mirror was dangerous and would be moved. When asked what he saw, Dumbledore humorously replied, "Myself with a pair of woolen socks." Despite the warning, Harry found it hard to forget the image until Wood announced Snape as the referee for the next Quidditch match against Hufflepuff. Shortly before the match, Malfoy used the leglocker curse on Neville. Harry, sympathetic, told Neville he was worth 12 of Malfoy and gave him a chocolate frog, finding out it was Dumbledore's card, the first one he ever got. Turning it over, he remembered seeing the name Nicholas Flamel on the train. Tensions rose as Gryffindor aimed to overtake Slytherin in the Quidditch Cup, with Snape as the referee. Ron and Hermione practiced the leglocker curse in case Snape threatened Harry. Wood reminded Harry to catch the snitch quickly, and Harry succeeded within 5 minutes, securing Gryffindor's lead in the Quidditch Cup. Part 9. Detention. After realizing how much Harry, Ron, and Hermione had deduced about the Philosopher's Stone during their encounter in the library, Rubeus Hagrid instructed them to meet him later in his hut. When they arrived, they observed a lit fire despite the daytime heat. Though reluctant, Hagrid was persuaded by Hermione to discuss the protective measures surrounding the stone. Fluffy, the three-headed dog, was Hagrid's contribution, complemented by enchantments from Professors Sprout, Flitwick, McGonagall, Quirrell, and Snape. In the warmth, Harry asked Hagrid to open a window, but Hagrid refused, revealing a dragon egg in the fire. Unfortunately, Draco Malfoy discovered the dragon and sought revenge by reporting them to Professor McGonagall for possessing an illegal dragon. To avert trouble, Harry, Ron, and Hermione convinced Hagrid to send Norbert to Ron's brother Charlie Weasley, who would take the dragon to a Romanian dragon preserve. While assisting Hagrid, the dragon bit Ron's hand, causing swelling and a visit to Madame Pomfrey. On the planned night, Harry and Hermione smuggled Norbert in a crate to the astronomy tower under Harry's invisibility cloak. En route, they witnessed Professor McGonagall catching Malfoy for being out of bed, and he retaliated by accusing Harry of having a dragon. They handed Norbert's crate to Charlie's friends and descended the stairs, accidentally leaving the cloak behind. Filch apprehended them, leading to McGonagall's office, where Neville, who had tried to warn them, also awaited. Disappointed, McGonagall deducted 50 points each from Harry, Hermione, and Neville, assigning them detention with Malfoy. Harry's popularity plummeted, as his Quidditch successes were overshadowed by his role in losing points for Gryffindor. Shortly before exams, Harry's resolution not to meddle was tested when he overheard Quirrell whimpering as if threatened. Suspecting Snape and the stone, Hermione proposed talking to Dumbledore, but Harry dismissed the idea due to lack of proof. The next day, they received detention notes, and Filch escorted them to the Forbidden Forest, where Hagrid awaited. Splitting into pairs, Hagrid took Harry and Hermione while Neville and Malfoy went with Fang. After Malfoy frightened Neville into sending red sparks, Hagrid sent Harry with Malfoy, thinking he'd be less intimidating. As they followed pools of unicorn blood, they reached a clearing where they found a dead unicorn. A hooded figure emerged to drink its blood, prompting Malfoy to flee with Fang. Harry, in pain from his scar, stumbled away and was rescued by Firenze, a Palomino centaur, who carried him out of the forest. Firenze disclosed the properties of unicorn blood, and Harry realized that only someone desperate like Lord Voldemort would kill a unicorn. Part 10. The Philosopher's Stone. In the aftermath of their exams, while conversing with Ron and Hermione, Harry realized the peculiar coincidence surrounding Hagrid's desire for a dragon and a stranger providing one. Eager for more details, they approached Hagrid, only to discover that the stranger never revealed his face, maintaining a hooded appearance in the Hog's Head. Hagrid's recollections were blurry due to the drinks bought by the mysterious man, but he mentioned discussions about Hogwarts and the creatures Hagrid tended to. Determined to convey their suspicions to Professor Dumbledore, the trio, en route across the entrance hall, encountered Professor McGonagall. They shared their findings, but she insisted that stealing the stone was impossible and mentioned Dumbledore's absence in London for the day. Setting out that night to thwart Snape, they were halted by Neville, fearing another unjustifiable Gryffindor point loss. Desperate for time, Hermione paralyzed Neville, and upon reaching the third-floor corridor, they encountered Fluffy, the three-headed dog, now awake but appeased by a harp. Recalling Hagrid's advice, Harry played the wooden flute he received for Christmas, lulling Fluffy to sleep. Descending through the trapdoor, they confronted challenges in different professors' rooms. A room filled with Devil's Snare posed a threat, but was navigated successfully. The following room held flying keys and broomsticks. Harry secured the correct key, unlocking the next door. Professor McGonagall's room featured a wizard's chessboard. Ron played to victory, but sacrificed himself. In Professor Quirrell's room, they encountered an unconscious troll. Snape's room held 7 potions with clues for progression. Hermione solved the puzzle, and at Harry's insistence, she drank the potion to return for Ron, while Harry moved forward. In the final room, Harry encountered the mirror of Erised and Quirrell. Quirrell bound Harry, revealing the mirror as the stone's key. In an attempt to distract Quirrell, Harry questioned him, uncovering his allegiance to Voldemort. Quirrell, unable to locate the stone, sought Voldemort's help, leading to the revelation that Harry was key. Gazing into the mirror, Harry saw himself obtaining and then returning the stone. Quirrell, realizing Harry's lie, exposed his connection to Voldemort and commanded Harry to surrender the stone. Refusing, Harry's touch caused pain to Quirrell, leading to a struggle and Harry losing consciousness. Awakening in the hospital wing, Harry learned from Dumbledore that Quirrell failed, and the stone was destroyed. Dumbledore explained Harry's protection, stemming from his mother's sacrifice. At the end of term feast, Dumbledore awarded points, enabling Gryffindor to clinch the House Cup.
Thanks for joining me on this magical journey in the wizarding world. But hold on to your broomsticks, because the magic is far from over. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you're always in the loop when the next enchanting adventure begins. Before you apparate away, lend a bit of your magic by giving this video a thumbs up. It's like casting a charm that helps our community grow. Thanks for being part of this magical community. Until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.